Hi, this is Kelcy Bremer, and I am presenting my Module 16 case study for school community relations. Category 1, problem identification and analysis. What do I know based on the case study? Mrs. Rose is a first-year assistant principal. She has concerns about her building's parent community involvement program, and she has addressed these concerns with her principal. He was originally not receptive to her concerns based on his previous attempts and history with parent involvement. And she again addressed these concerns at a later time. This time, the principal agreed to schedule a parent meeting. He sent home an announcement on Friday with students, informing parents about the meeting the following Monday night. 8 parents showed up to the meeting, and the principal did not want to proceed with the meeting at that point based on the lack of attendance. Here's what I need to know. It would be helpful to know the demographics of the school, what types of communication attempts have been made in the past by staff and administrators. The principal stated his history and frustration with this issue, so it would be helpful to know if he typically uses announcements such as the one he sent home this time, or if other resources or other forms of communication have been used, such as emails, calls and texts, social media, and if any of them were more effective. It would be helpful to know what types of events have been held, and if they were all this unsuccessful. This was a parent meeting, but I would like to know if this principal or school has tried family nights or other activities, if presentations are typically the norm, or if there's another type of way that the school is getting or has tried to get parents into the building. I need to know the building's comprehensive parent and community plan and the district's comprehensive parent and community plan for communication. I need to know who the stakeholders are, and then what the school's current image is within the community. If there is indeed a lack of interest, or if the community feels like the school does not want parents and community involved. The problem, I believe, is that there is a poor comprehensive program for parent and community involvement. The principal believes that parents are better left alone, as he stated to his assistant principal. It's a problem that at this point there are not a lot of parents responding or attending school events, and it's evident that there's poor communication between the school and parents, as used with the announcement on a Friday after school informing parents of a Monday evening parent meeting. Category 2 is my proposed plan of action. Step 1 in my proposed plan is to develop a comprehensive plan. First, I need to determine the audience. Who do I need to get the word out to? And then establish various communication channels. I would need to get parent and community input to determine the most effective methods for communicating with them, whether that be announcements, calls and texts, social media, communication apps, weekly newsletters, or using local news outlets such as newspapers or local TV channels and the like. I need to establish various opportunities for parental community involvement and expected communication processes for each of those opportunities. For example, giving enough notice of an event, just how you positively promote those events, making student activity nights or opportunities to volunteer more of a regular occurrence in the building. And then the comprehensive plan should focus on the development of effective relationships with families and community members. There needs to be frequent positive contact between school and home, we need to be promoting the building within the community as an entire staff. We should be inviting families to be part of the decision-making process through the parent groups that the principal is opposed to. And we need to practice transparency with families and the community, be visible and approachable so that we can make that connection. Step 2 of my proposed plan of action is to implement the action plan. Once the communication channels and audience have been determined, we need to assign responsible parties for those communication efforts and who they're going to reach and how we're going to share the information. One of those responsibilities will be that teachers make weekly positive contacts with parents and caregivers to open up that line of communication. We will implement the building-wide use of social media platforms and communication apps to reach parents and caregivers, as well as continue to promote positive throughout the community. And we can share information very quickly and efficiently using mass calls and texts, our building webpage, our monthly newsletter, the local newspaper, and still continuing to send announcements home with students, since that seems to be what parents are used to. At a minimum, we must provide at least 1 week's notice of all opportunities of involvement. And then I would like to develop a timeline for parental and community involvement opportunities, such as monthly family nights and those regular opportunities to volunteer. When are those happening? How often? How can we maintain that is a regular practice? We need to make sure that the opportunities for parents and families and community to be involved are happening during various times of the day. Evenings might not always work best for parents or people in the community. So how can we get them into the building during the day, before school, in the afternoon, anything like that allows them more chances that work for them. And then we can provide incentives for attending, door prizes or meals or snacks, things like that for students, for families, that will get them through the doors to begin with, so that we can develop this partnership. Step 3 of my proposed plan of action would be to analyze and evaluate the effectiveness of this plan. Over time, I would hope to see that parental involvement and community input is improving. So I would like to track that. I want to monitor communication efforts, who they are intended for, who's responsible for them, and if they are holding up their end of that responsibility, and how often it's occurring. I will seek feedback from the stakeholders, parents, families, community members, and staff. I want to know what results the staff are experiencing from their efforts. I want to know how the parents and families perceive the communication efforts. And then in an effort to find out how the communication efforts can be improved. I also want to track any changes in parent involvement over time. Is attendance improving? Is it staying the same? If it stays the same, what can we do to make the necessary changes to improve that? And I need to track it at each type of event that we hold. And then once all of this has been, the monitor and feedback and tracking has been occurring over time, I'll be able to determine areas for improvement and adjust the comprehensive plan that was originally created, and then start the cycle over to repeat the action plan with changes in place. Category 3, resolving the issue. This is in an effort to promote the academic success of all students through promoting communities of engagement for families and other stakeholders through collaborative working relationships. I believe that by creating a process for consistent and effective communication with families and the community, and having an established plan in place for opportunities for continuous involvement, the school will improve in promoting the success and well-being of all students. We will promote a positive image within the community and can gain back the trust and support of families and the community over time. Sticking with category 3, This level of detailed plan is necessary for three main reasons based on the case study. The first step is to improve relationships so that the belief is not that parents are better left alone and the community doesn't want to be involved, which was what the principal had stated in the case study. Step two is to get a more realistic sense of the pulse of the community, which at this point is based off of several parent phone calls and conferences. And then step three is to improve or implement the parents' advisory groups that the principal is opposed to at this point, so that parents are involved in the decision-making process. Category 3, resolving the issues. Part 1, as I mentioned in the previous slide, is to improve relationships. At this point, the principal believes that the parents are better left alone and that the community didn't want to be involved and expected educators to do all of the work. We can change this mindset with consistent communication using a variety of channels. Ineffective communication efforts, such as sending home an announcement on Friday before a parent meeting on Monday, did not result in the desired parent attendance. So we should learn from that and make improvements based on our action plan. By making timely and consistent communication efforts, parents will be better informed, which will result in better home-to-school connection and allow them to plan in advance for such events. Parent involvement can positively impact student learning. Resolving the issue part 2 is the pulse of the community, as stated by the principal. He claims to understand the community based on phone calls and conferences and believes that people don't want to be involved but want educators to do all of the work. We can resolve this issue with improved community involvement. Positively promoting school, students, and staff via all channels of communication that have been determined effective will result in effective community partnerships, which can result in access to community resources that improve school programs, which benefit all students. Resolving the issue part 3 is based on the decision-making process. There are currently no parent advisory groups, and the principal has stated that he wouldn't approve any type of PTO or PTA. We can develop trust by developing parents' groups. Establishing parent groups such as PTO or PTA involves caregivers and community members in the decision-making processes to develop and achieve school-wide goals benefiting all students. Without goals and a vision, the school does not experience continuous improvement, and we need outside perspective and feedback in order to truly grow and improve. Category 4, debrief the problem. I'm going to share my thoughts, feelings, and values as I relate to this case study, and then address any unresolved issues that would be helpful in making this case study resolved. For category 4, debrief the problem, my thoughts when initially reading the case study were that Mrs. Rose, the assistant principal, had recognized a significant communication concern at her current school that could potentially reflect the climate and culture of the school. If her principal feels that parents are better left alone and that the community does not want to be involved, those feelings have likely been spread through the building, which would lead me to believe that the staff is also doing very little to communicate with families. This would mean that parents and families are feeling excluded from their child's education, are likely not supporting their child's learning at home, and may feel as if they have no voice in the school setting. This also means that the school is likely missing out on valuable community resources that would be available if there was a working community partnership. My feelings: the conclusion of the case study states that the principal was not in favor of proceeding with the meeting due to low parent attendance. I was hopeful that the assistant principal could convince him to let her meet with the parents who were present. She could receive valuable information from them in regards to why parents did not want to attend school activities. By showing vulnerability and a willingness to make improvements based on the parents' feelings and perceptions, she could begin to make the connections and partnership that the school is currently lacking. She would then be able to use the information to develop and implement the school's comprehensive action plan to improve the partnership between the school and community. By accepting parent input, perhaps the next attempt would be more successful, and the school could continue making improvements to develop effective parental and community involvement. My response to this case study is based on the value I place on relationships. I believe in trust, transparency, integrity, being ethical and fair, and the impact that those traits have on building effective, productive, collaborative relationships. I believe that continuous improvement is a necessity professionally and personally. I value receiving ideas and feedback from others. The principal in this case study was extremely closed off due to previous experiences with parents that were less than desirable. Once he formed the belief that parents and community did not want to be involved, he gave up on communication and collaborating with families and community members, as was evident when he informed the assistant principal that he hadn't always felt that way, but that parent apathy had changed his beliefs. Instead of finding ways to improve what was happening at that time, he quit trying to involve families in the community, which isolated both and damaged any productive partnerships. Still debriefing the problem, here are the unresolved issues. The staff's communication process and attempts. At this point in the case study, I don't know the involvement the staff has with communicating with families and parents in the community, and so it would be helpful to have a better understanding of this. I need to know how and why parents feel the way they do. Why aren't they showing up to meetings, events, school functions? I need to know what parental involvement attempts were made previously. Has it always been parent meetings? And what channels of communication have been tried? If it has been an announcement sent home similar to what was done in this case study, that could have an impact on why parents aren't showing up. I need to know what the district communication plan is, and I need to know what the building communication plan is, so that I can evaluate those and see if we need to make improvements in those areas. And then I would like to know what the public's perception of the school is, so that I can try and correct any negative perception that is out there. Category 5 focuses on Standard 4. Component 1 asks, how did you, as the educational leader, promote the academic success of every student while addressing the issues revealed in the parental apathy case study? First, I focused on improving relationships, which I believe impacts all students. Continue with the parent meeting with the 8 parents who are present to gain an understanding of their perspective, their ideas, and their suggestions to improve parent communication and involvement. I need to develop a comprehensive plan to determine the stakeholders, the communication needs, the opportunities for parent involvement, and development of community partnerships. And I need to create some form of parent advisory group or groups. Then I need to implement the action plan. I have to put the comprehensive plan into action and ensure staff accountability and expectations for consistent and positive communication, planned events, and parental feedback. And then finally, I need to evaluate the action plan. I need to monitor the efforts, receive feedback, track successes, and the need for continued improvement or changes to the action plan as a continuous cycle. These steps will lead to continuous improvement as a school, which impacts all students. Standard 4 Component 2 asks, how did you as the educational leader promote the personal well-being of every student while addressing the issues revealed in the parent apathy case study? First, I focused on improving community involvement. Positively promoting the school, students, and staff will result in effective community partnerships, which can result in access to community resources that improve school programs benefiting all students. Again, I'm focused on improving relationships. This does not only affect the academic well-being, but also the personal well-being of every student. A systematic change of the climate and culture of the school to effectively change the mindset that parents in the community do not want to be involved will impact students. And by working with parents in the community, a shared vision and goal for the school could be established that involves and benefits all stakeholders, with the expectation of continued improvement to reach those goals and the vision. And then I need to continue to develop a trust and transparency with families and community members to improve family engagement. If families feel excluded from their child's education and the school setting, they're less likely to support school at home. And by developing that trust and partnership with families and the community, our students will also receive more support at home, which impacts their personal well-being as well as their academic well-being. And then component 3 asks, how did you, as the educational leader, promote communities of engagement for families and other stakeholders in the school's community while addressing the issues revealed in the parental apathy case study? First, I want to establish positive and consistent communication using the most effective forms of communication to reach internal and external publics. I need to know what the public's perception is and how to best communicate with them so that I can promote the positive within the building and change that mindset. I need to establish some form of parent group that allows for parent and community input, that gives a voice so that they do feel included and valued. I need to establish a scheduled and routine parent and community involvement plan that offers a variety of opportunities and times and types of activities that are happening in the building to get families and community members in the building to feel welcome and invited and appreciated and valued. And I need to improve the visibility, the transparency, the approachability, and the involvement of the administrators and the staff within the community. The community needs to know who we are, what we believe in, what we value, and that what we're doing is what's best for students. And that is the end of my case study presentation. Thank you.